When you think about the 80s, what pops into your head? Is it the funky parachute pants or those cool fingerless gloves?
Parachute pants?
Yeah,
Does everybody parachute?
Maybe it's memories of your first computer, cable TV, or playing Atari. Whatever it is, there's a lot of history and culture to remember.
The Atari 5200 Super System and all the exciting new games now at a new low price.
While you might feel a bit nostalgic for the prices on your grocery bill 35 years ago, things were way cheaper back then.
Now's the time to buy a home. So come on in.
So, are you curious to know how much things cost back in the 1980s? Join us as we explore the 20 things that were way cheaper in the 1980s.
Our high-fidelity tape still delivers high fidelity.
People often talk about how college costs keep going up, and young Americans end up with a lot of student loan debt. They wonder if spending so much money on education is worth it in the real world after graduating. But when did college become so expensive? Millennials complain about the high cost and their student debt, while baby boomers might say, "I worked during college and still got my work done." However, comparing today's college costs to those when baby boomers went to school isn't a fair comparison. When you adjust the cost of college in the 1970s to today's dollars, the increase is astonishing. In 1980, it cost $10,231 per year to attend a 4-year college full-time, including tuition, fees, room, and board, adjusted for inflation. By 2020, the total price had shot up to $28,775, marking a whopping 180% increase over the years. This huge jump in cost helps explain why younger generations are concerned about the affordability and value of higher education. As college tuition skyrockets, many question its value. But what about real estate prices? Do they follow a similar pattern of inflation? Let's explore how housing costs compare over time. In the 1980s, known for flashy styles and the rise of yuppies, homes were more modest despite the era's extravagance. In 1981, the average American family bought single-family homes of around 1,700 square feet for a family size of 3.27.
At Century 21, we're making things happen.
And we'll give our word to you.
Today, though families are smaller, averaging 3.13 people, homes have grown larger, with a median size of 2,356 square feet. In 1980, the cost per square foot was just $41, a whopping 310% less than today's prices.
We're America's number one top seller.
The perfect house.
House sizes reached a peak in 2015 at 2,689 square feet, but have since decreased as more millennials entered the housing market. Comparing today's market to the 1980s, there are similarities like high inflation, rising mortgage rates, which doubled from about 9 to 18% by 1981, and a surge in home demand due to a growing demographic boom. According to Bank of America, the 1980s housing market serves as a better analogy for today than the 21st century housing crash. Last year, the average American household spent nearly $5,000 per person on health care, marking a significant 101% increase from approximately $2,500 per person spent about years ago in the 1980s.
Enables the progress of the material to be recorded by a gamma camera as it is pumped through the heart.
While it might not be surprising that healthcare expenses have gone up over the past 3 decades, the main factor behind this surge isn't the cost of drugs or medical services. In fact, the expenses related to medical services have actually decreased by about a third since the 1980s.
But good health begins with you. If you are taking medication, take it as directed.
The primary driver for the increase is the rising costs of insurance, which have surged by a staggering 740% since 1984. In 2023, the average American paid around $8,435 per year for insurance alone. Overall, healthcare costs, which include medical procedures and health insurance, were lower back in the 1980s. Over the past 44 years, a lot has changed in the car industry. Every year, car makers make adjustments to their lineup of cars to stay appealing to customers. They add, remove, and change models and brands.
Now a North American car with the shape and the feel we've never seen before.
Some cars are popular for only a short time and then get discontinued. Others go in and out of production, while a few, like the Ford F-Series and Toyota Corolla, stay popular for a long time. Many of the cars that Americans love today have been around for decades, but they've been redesigned over the years. Some have changed so much that they don't look or feel like their earlier versions. Not only have the designs changed, but so have the prices. When you compare the cost of a new car today with the same car in 1980, there's a big difference. For instance, a new Toyota Corolla in 1980 was only $4,348, which is more than $19,000 less, which starts at $23,145 and goes up to $28,345 price for a new Corolla last year. The prices of some other well-known brands have also increased significantly.
Demand excellence in design and function. For all of us who will not compromise, Ford listen.
As car prices have evolved drastically over the past 44 years, one can't help but wonder, have airline ticket prices followed a similar trajectory? Let's find out. In the 1980s, the prices of plane tickets were quite diverse, influenced by factors like destination, airline, travel class, and booking time. Generally, ticket costs were lower back then compared to today. On average, a domestic flight within the United States in 1980 was around $280, but this could vary based on different elements.
Delta is ready. We're ready when you are. Delta is ready. We're ready.
International flights during this period were generally pricier than domestic ones. For instance, a round-trip ticket from the United States to Europe could range from $700 to $1,200, depending on factors like the airline and travel class. First-class tickets were notably more expensive, often costing several times more than economy tickets.
Introducing the American Airlines 767.
Our new plane.
The significant increase in plane ticket prices over the years is attributed to inflation, changes in the airline industry, and a growing demand for air travel. Nowadays, domestic flights in the U.S. typically range from $300 to $500, while international flights can vary from $800 to several $1,000s. As expected, first-class tickets remain considerably more expensive. In the 1980s, going to the movies cost an average of $3.55, excluding popcorn and soda.
There's going to be a line outside across the alley.
Fast forward to today, and the price has risen to $9.16, surpassing the inflation-adjusted 1985 cost of $8.65. However, the experience has also evolved, offering perks like comfy reclining leather seats, the option to enjoy beer, and somewhat improved pizza. Back in the day, heading to the cinema was a more economical way to have fun. Although the cost has increased over the years, the modern movie experience brings added luxuries like plush seats and a menu that includes beer and reasonably decent pizza. So while the price has gone up, the entertainment value has expanded, providing moviegoers with more than just a film on the big screen. Believe it or not, back in the day, cassette tapes cost around $6 to $8 on average for a single album. The actual price depended on the title and how well known it was, but generally speaking, it was a fair price, considering you could listen to music on the go. If you only wanted the latest single from your favorite band, that would set you back about $2 to $3. It might not have been the best deal financially, but some folks just wanted the hit song and not the whole album. That's why songs like Hey Mickey and Never Gonna Give You Up are the only big hits from some 80s one-hit wonders. Nobody wants a whole album of songs they won't listen to.
However, I always keep a little XL1 on hand, because you never know when you may need it.
Sadly, cassette tapes faced tough competition from CDs in the late 80s. People were swapping out the old plastic tapes you had to rewind for the new shiny discs. To stay in the game, cassette prices dropped to compete with CDs, which were initially priced at around $15 to $20 in the mid-80s.
The store and bought all of these hits on CD, and it cost you over $400. Didn't the 80s teach us about overspending? Be smart, get totally 80s.
As cassette tapes faced competition from CDs in the late 80s, their prices dropped to compete. But how did this shift impact other commodities like gasoline? In 1980, gas cost $1.19 per gallon, and the average hourly pay for blue-collar workers, wages and benefits combined, was $9.12. This meant it took about 7.83 minutes of work to afford a gallon of gas.
Petrol stations can no longer afford to fill up cars whose tanks take 20 gallons.
Fast forward to today, gas is about $4.18 per gallon, and blue-collar hourly compensation has risen to $33.39. Now it takes approximately 7.51 minutes of work to buy a gallon of gas. Despite the nominal price of gas going up by 251%, the actual time it takes to earn enough for a gallon has decreased by 4%. Even when we consider the ups and downs in oil prices during that time, the overall trend is that fuel prices were more affordable back then. In 1980, cable television subscriptions in America were more affordable, making them accessible to a broader range of households.
And participation in government as well as community activities.
Back then, the cost of cable TV packages was relatively lower compared to today's prices. In the 1980s, a basic cable package typically ranged from $10 to $25 per month, allowing families to enjoy a variety of channels without breaking the bank. Fast forward to the present, cable TV prices have significantly increased. Nowadays, basic cable packages can start at around $30 to $50 per month, and more extensive packages with additional channels or features can cost even more. The rise in prices reflects various factors, including inflation, increased production costs for television content, and the development of new technologies. Consumer electronics in America, such as VCRs, stereos, and early personal computers, were more accessible to the general public. During that time, a VCR, which allowed people to watch movies at home, typically cost around $500 to $1,000.
Relax. Panasonic VHS tapes up to 4 hours of sports, movie specials on one cassette.
Stereos, providing a booming musical experience, ranged from $200 to $500. Early personal computers, which marked the beginning of the digital era, were priced between $1,000 and $3,000. These prices reflected the technology available at the time and the relative affordability for consumers.
This makes it great video value, too. The HR7100, simplicity in motion from JVC.
As of today, the landscape of consumer electronics has significantly changed. Technological advancements, mass production, and increased competition have led to more affordable prices. As consumer electronics became more affordable in the 80s, people embraced technology. But did these changes influence how they experienced live music? Let's explore the evolving cost of concert tickets. In 1980, going to live music events in America was more affordable. Back then, performers relied heavily on album sales for income, and concert tickets were relatively cheap, averaging around $15.13. Adjusted for today's inflation, that would be approximately $36.85. In contrast, today's music landscape has shifted, with streaming dominating and artists earning less from recorded music. To make ends meet, most bands now heavily depend on touring. The average concert ticket for a well-known act today costs around $91.86, showing a significant increase from the prices in 1980. This shift reflects changes in the music industry economics, where live performances have become a primary source of revenue for artists, making concert tickets more expensive for fans compared to the more budget-friendly prices of the past. In the 1980s, denim was a big fashion trend, especially seen in Bruce Springsteen's iconic Born in the USA album cover.
Distressed Denim by Jordan.
Designer jeans were considered high fashion, starting at around $50, with Guess being a coveted brand priced at around $60. On the more affordable side, lower-end brands like Lee Jeans cost about $15 and were readily available at places like Kmart. Shoes played a role as status symbols. Jelly shoes were cheap at $5 to $10, while men's dress shoes ranged from $21 for leather to $40 for more casual styles. The Timberland boots cost around $70, and the Nike Air Force basketball shoes were $55. Tennis shoes, including Reebok High Tops and Converse All Stars, were popular and affordable.
Timberland waterproof boots, shoes.
Basic 80s clothes had diverse styles, from neon t-shirts to tulle skirts and loose-fitting blazers. Women's corduroy blazers were around $40, sweaters cost approximately $11, and ski jackets were trendy at $40. Accessories like socks and belts ranged from $2 to $10. A full suit for men could be bought for under $200, and a cashmere overcoat was around $189. As fashion trends soared in the 1980s, so did the prices of designer clothing. But what about the cost of entertainment? Did video game consoles follow the same path? Let's delve into the details. It's incredible to see the progress of video game consoles over the past 40 years. But what about their prices? The video game industry faced challenges like a crash in the early 80s that led to some companies going out of business.
All three at an exciting low price. For great family fun, hitch your TV to a Telstar.
The first ever game console, the Magnavox Odyssey, cost $75 in 1972, equivalent to about $412 today. The Mattel Intellivision, another significant release in 1979, originally retailed for $299, equivalent to $943.22 in today's money.
Oh, brother. Do they say that too?
In television.
Moving into the early 80s, the ColecoVision was priced at $200, about $475.06 today, while the Atari 5200 released the same year cost $269, around $638.95 today. In 1983, the Nintendo Entertainment System came onto the scene with a retail price of $199, equivalent to $458.53 today.
Because I wanted it.
Super Pong. It's not just another video game. It's a real Atari.
As video game consoles evolved over 44 years, their prices fluctuated, facing challenges like the 80s crash. But what about children's toys? How did their prices compare, shaping family dynamics? In 1980, popular children's toys and games in America were more reasonably priced compared to today.
Secret treasure to keep safe? You can keep it in a keeper.
For instance, a classic Barbie doll typically cost around $3 back then, while a Hot Wheels car was about $1. Board games like Monopoly or Scrabble were priced around $10 to $15. These prices made it easier for families to afford these toys and games for their children. But nowadays, the cost of children's toys has increased significantly due to various factors such as inflation and advancements in technology. A Barbie doll now ranges from $10 to $20, while a Hot Wheels car can be found for $1 to $3. Board games like Monopoly or Scrabble are priced between $15 to $30. Despite the increase in prices, parents still strive to provide these toys for their children as they play a vital role in their development and entertainment. Since 1967, the Big Mac has been a part of American culture. In the late 1960s, McDonald's introduced this iconic sandwich, created by Jim Delegati, to satisfy adults with bigger appetites. By 1968, it was available nationwide for just 45 cents. In 1981, the Big Mac, firmly established on the McDonald's menu, cost $1.30.
This 9-layer gastronomic indulgence is known as a Big Mac.
Today, Big Macs are nearly 5 times the price they were in 1981. Despite the price difference, both 1980 and 2024 witnessed significant cost increases for burgers. Regardless of its price, the Big Mac holds a special place in American history with its museum. The annual sales of Big Macs surpass the total U.S. population.
You deserve a break today at McDonald's,
where your dollar gets a break.
Love it or not, this 3-bun, 2-patty wonder is more famous than most people and seems poised to endure. Although it may now cost $20, the Big Mac's legacy appears everlasting.
I'm going to show you how McDonald's builds a Big Mac sandwich.
In 1986, Dairy Queen's Blizzard, priced at $1.29 for a regular size and $1.99 for a larger option, gained popularity. Today, the Blizzard is an iconic ice cream treat known for its unique ability to be flipped upside down without spilling. Despite price changes, the Blizzard offers more size options than in 1986. General consumer goods in America, including household items and appliances, were relatively cheaper compared to today.
versatile toaster ovens pioneered by General Electric Housewares with attractive new design and new easy care finish.
For example, a basic toaster typically costs around $10 to $20, while a vacuum cleaner ranges from $50 to $100. A standard microwave oven, a relatively new appliance at the time, could be purchased for about $100 to $200. These prices made household essentials more affordable for families.
Remember,
Nobody knows more about microwave cooking.
A basic toaster now costs approximately $20 to $40, while a vacuum cleaner ranges from $100 to $300 depending on features and brand. Microwave ovens, featuring enhanced functionalities and designs, range in price from $50 to $500. Despite the increase in prices, advancements have also delivered improved quality and features, aligning with changes in consumer preferences and lifestyle needs. As consumer goods became pricier over time, one might wonder how this trend affected the affordability of another essential aspect of life: public transportation. In the 1980s, public transportation in America, including buses, subways, and trains, was more affordable, making it a practical choice for many. Back then, a bus ride typically cost around 50 cents, providing an economical way for people to travel within cities.
This bus is a Trailways, and it took a lot more than a paint job to make Trailways the best bus going.
Subway fares were also reasonable, often ranging from 75 cents to $1, making it accessible for daily commuters. Train tickets for both short and long distances were relatively inexpensive, offering an efficient mode of transportation.
Our free airline connecting buses run continuously between terminals, every 10 minutes during peak periods.
As of today, public transportation costs have increased significantly. Bus fares can range from $2 to $5 depending on the location. Subway rides may cost anywhere from $2.50 to $7, impacting the budget of regular commuters. Train ticket prices have also seen a notable rise, making it a more expensive option for both short and long-distance travel. Attending major league sports events in America was more affordable. Back then, tickets to professional sports games were priced at around $10 to $20 for good seats. Families could enjoy the excitement of baseball, basketball, or football without breaking the bank. However, the cost of professional sports event tickets has risen significantly. Nowadays, tickets to major league games can range from $50 to $200 or more for prime seating. This increase in price reflects the growing popularity and commercialization of professional sports. While attending these events is still possible, especially for dedicated fans, the higher ticket prices have made it less accessible for some families. Despite the rise in ticket prices, the thrill of watching live sports remains a cherished pastime for many. Whether cheering on their favorite teams from the stands or following the action on television, sports enthusiasts continue to enjoy the excitement of the game, albeit at a higher cost than in years past. In the late 1980s, sending letters and packages through postal services in America was more affordable. Back then, mailing a standard letter cost around 15 cents, and packages were generally priced reasonably. The Postal Service played a crucial role in connecting people across the country at a relatively low cost.
Overnight from St. Pete is never a feat, and with express mail, the price is a treat.
As of now, the landscape of postal services has changed. The cost of mailing letters has increased, with a standard letter now requiring more dollars than it did in 1980.
A family of four, a whole year of cut-price rail travel for just £12.
Additionally, shipping packages have become pricier, influenced by factors like inflation and the evolving nature of postal operations.
When you need it overnight, we deliver.
As postal services evolved in the late 1980s, the cost dynamics changed. How did these shifts compare to the transformations witnessed in telephone services during the same period? Let's find out. Back in 1980, telephone services in America were simpler and more affordable. Basic landline services and long-distance calls were relatively cheaper for households. A typical basic landline subscription might have cost around $20 per month, providing a straightforward connection for local calls.
Isn't this great? Here I am in New York, and there you are in St. Louis, and it's just like you're in the next room.
Now, telephone services have undergone significant changes with the advent of mobile phones and internet-based communication. Basic landlines are less common, and many people rely on mobile plans. The cost of mobile plans varies widely, but a basic plan can start from around $30 per month, offering a mix of local and limited long-distance calling. Additionally, unlimited long-distance calling is often included in many mobile plans, eliminating the need for separate charges.